We don't talk about this enough, but we should. As men get older, intimacy changes. Our bodies shift, our hormones adjust, and our needs evolve. But one topic that's often left in the shadows is masturbation after 60. How it changes, how it helps, and how it can silently harm if done in the wrong ways. Yes, masturbation. It's normal, natural, and still very much a part of life for many older men. But there are real mistakes that can start to take a toll on physical and emotional health if left unaddressed. So today we're shedding light, without judgment, on the masturbation mistakes men over 60 often make, and how to shift toward healthier, more fulfilling practices that honor this stage of life. 1. Ignoring changes in sensitivity and function. One of the first mistakes is pretending nothing has changed. Many older men continue using the same techniques and routines that worked when they were 25 or 40, not realizing that their body has changed. And that's okay. As testosterone levels decline, erections may not be as firm or as fast. Sensitivity might be reduced. It might take longer to climax, or climax might feel less intense. But instead of adapting, many men double down, using more pressure, rushing the experience, or relying on outdated habits that can actually cause physical strain. This can lead to performance anxiety, physical discomfort, or even long-term desensitization. The key is recognizing these changes, not resisting them. What used to be a sprint might now be a slow, mindful journey. And that's not worse. It's just different. 2. Overusing pornography. Another common trap is the over-reliance on pornography. Now, there's no shame in using visual aids, but what often happens is that men begin to depend on increasingly intense or specific types of porn to get aroused. This can train the brain to respond only to artificial stimulation, leading to a kind of sexual tuning that makes real-life intimacy feel dull or unexciting. And after 60, when spontaneous arousal is already less frequent, this disconnect can become even more pronounced. It can affect not just physical arousal, but emotional connection with oneself or a partner. When pleasure becomes purely visual and disconnected from the body, the soul of the experience starts to slip away. 3. Ignoring the role of the pelvic floor. Here's something rarely discussed. The pelvic floor muscles play a huge role in sexual health, especially after 60. Neglecting these muscles can lead to weaker erections, decreased sensation, and even urinary incontinence. Men often don't realize that masturbation habits can either support or strain these muscles. If you're tensing up or clenching repeatedly during climax, it can exhaust or misfire the pelvic floor over time. Simple exercises like Kegels, yes, for men too, can rebuild strength and coordination, and incorporating breathwork, stretching, and body awareness during solo time can enhance not just pleasure, but longevity. 4. Going too rough too fast. As sensation decreases with age, some men unknowingly compensate by increasing intensity, gripping tighter, moving faster. But this can cause micro tears in the skin, irritation of nerve endings, and even damage to the delicate tissues of the penis. It can also create a kind of death grip syndrome, where your body becomes conditioned to only climax under a very specific pressure that a partner can't replicate. Instead, older men should be exploring gentler, more conscious forms of touch. Lubrication becomes more important, as does relaxation. The idea isn't to get it done, it's to rediscover. 5. Not connecting emotionally to the experience. One of the biggest shifts in sexuality after 60 is that it becomes less about release and more about connection. But if masturbation remains a purely mechanical act, a quick distraction or stress relief, it misses an opportunity. Older men often carry decades of emotional weight, grief, regret, loss, or even suppressed desires. Solo intimacy can be a space to process those feelings, to be gentle with oneself, to feel seen and safe, even in solitude. When you rush, numb out, or disconnect emotionally, you lose that healing potential. But when you approach it with curiosity, with slowness, and with presence, it becomes more than just a habit. It becomes a ritual of self-compassion. 6. Believing it's no longer important. There's a silent belief among many older men that masturbation, or sexuality in general, just isn't important anymore, that it's juvenile, unnecessary, or embarrassing. But research tells a different story. Sexual activity, even solo, supports cardiovascular health, boosts mood, relieves pain, improves sleep, and promotes a deeper sense of well-being. It can even be protective against prostate issues. Beyond biology, it reminds you that you are alive, that your body still deserves joy, and that intimacy at any age is a basic human need, not a youthful indulgence. 7. Not talking about it. Perhaps the most harmful mistake? Silence. Men over 60 often feel isolated in their sexual struggles. They may not talk to their doctor about erectile changes, lubrication issues, or pelvic tension because of shame or fear. This silence becomes a form of self-abandonment. The truth is, these issues are normal, common, and absolutely treatable. Opening up, whether to a medical professional, a therapist, a trusted partner, or even a close friend, can be the first step toward reclaiming sexual health and dignity. No man should feel alone in this. Masturbation after 60 isn't something to hide from. It's not a leftover habit from youth. It's an evolving expression of intimacy, presence, and health. But like anything else, it changes with time, and so must we. By letting go of old habits, embracing our changing bodies, and approaching pleasure with wisdom rather than shame, we unlock a new kind of vitality, one rooted in self-respect, slowness, and a deeper kind of joy. It's never too late to redefine what intimacy means, and it's never too late to make peace with your body, your desire, and your worth. You know, when we talk about aging, we often frame it in terms of decline. What's no longer working, what's lost. But aging isn't just about letting go. It's about stepping into a new kind of power, a deeper kind of knowing, and that applies to sexuality too. What if solo intimacy in your 60s, 70s, or 80s isn't about replicating the past, but about discovering a richer present? What if it becomes less about friction and more about feeling, less about performance and more about presence? You are not broken because things have changed. You are simply older, and that comes with wisdom your younger self never had. Too often, men over 60 carry a quiet shame about their changing bodies, about what turns them on now, or what doesn't, about needing more time or less intensity, or even just touch that's more emotional than erotic. But let me say this clearly. There is nothing weak about you for needing something different. In fact, there is strength in knowing your needs. There is strength in claiming them. Masturbation isn't just a release. At this age, it can become an act of grounding, of reconnecting with yourself when the world around you has gone quiet, of remembering that you are still here, still whole, still worthy of pleasure and care. If you've been carrying silent doubts or frustrations, let this be your invitation to slow down, to listen, to shift your habits not out of shame, but out of self-respect. Because your body is not a machine. It's a story. And that story doesn't end at 60. It deepens. So take your time. Be gentle. Stay curious. You've earned that. And if this message speaks to you, if you know what it's like to wrestle with these quiet questions, remember, you are not alone. More men are waking up to this conversation than ever before. And the more we speak, the more we heal.